Live from New York, this is the Harvey Hour. My name is Nathan Harvey. It's great to have you in today on a Friday. It's Black Friday. As always, I'm joined alongside my dad, Stephen Harvey. Bears-Eagles just wrapped up. We'll get into that. We got a lot to talk about. We got 3 Thanksgiving games to get into. The Black Friday game, this weekend of games. Not a single team has a bye this week, which is going to be interesting because not all bye weeks are done. Patriots have a bye week next week, so a little bit interesting. We got 16 games to cover. Alongside my dad, Stephen Harvey. How are you doing today on this Friday?
I'm good. I'm surprised by these games over the Thanksgiving holiday. All upsets.
Yeah, every single game. All four
upsets.
Games. All 4 games. Maybe we should change some of our picks if that's going to be the MO for this week.
Man,
a bunch of upsets.
1 and 3.
Yeah, it was rough. We did get a couple of nice point spread covers though, which is good. We did get the I got the Bengals upset win. You got the Cowboys upset win. We both failed on the Lions covering and winning. We both got the Bears covering this one, but ultimately the Eagles ended up losing. We had them winning. So a lot to talk about. So let's get into it. Let's start from the beginning where it all started, which is the Thursday game, Thanksgiving, the first one, which was the Green Bay Packers against the Detroit Lions, because Lions favored by 2.5 points on Thanksgiving. They have a winning record. They're 12-9-1, if I'm not mistaken, on Thanksgiving games, now 12-10-1. So it was a big-time loss for Detroit. Green Bay looked unstoppable, going 3 for 3 on 4th downs, while the Detroit Lions, known for being super aggressive, 0-2 in this game, and the last couple weeks, 0-7 on 4th down. So it's been a rough couple weeks for Dan Campbell, who now runs the offense and the Detroit Lions through and through. So my question to you is, I've called the Green Bay Packers frauds for weeks. Were you more impressed with Green Bay's performance or more disappointed in the Detroit Lions?
Well, my summary says it all. Jordan Love's 4 TD passes and Dan Campbell's poor play calling result in a Lions loss and their playoff chances falling. I think they blew it in this game. They were within a score of winning or tying the game. But Love had all kinds of time to pass, and he took full advantage of it. He had a career high 4 touchdown passes. He credited the O-line, offensive line, with the win in this game. They were 3 for 3 on 4th down, beating the Lions at their own game. The Lions, as you mentioned, 0 for 2 on 4th down. One of their 4th downs, they should never have gone for, in my opinion. They were on the 21-yard line. They were within 10 points. If they kicked the field goal, they'd been within a touchdown. And there was plenty of time left, and instead they try to throw a 2-yard pass to Williams, and he dropped it. And I think that was a key mistake in this game. The Packers swept the season series with the Lions. That's a first for a while. The Lions' 3rd loss in 5 games. They're out of the playoff picture right now. Micah Parsons, 2.5 sacks. He's got 12 for the year now. Gibbs stopped on opening a second-half drive just inside Green Bay's territory. They tried to go for it on 4th down there, and then Love threw a 51-yard touchdown pass to Watson for a 24-14 lead. I mean, that's field position. The Lions should have punted it there. Detroit got to the 4-yard line late in the 4th quarter and took a field goal there. If they'd taken the field goal before and they got down there, then they'd been going for the touchdown to tie the game. They couldn't stop Green Bay, who ran out the clock after that. Goff had a good game. I think the stats look okay for the Lions, except for their running game. Gibbs 20 carries, only 68 yards. Montgomery 8 for 32. Williams had 7 catches for 144 yards and a touchdown. Those are his highs for his career. And Goff, he had an 89, 85, almost 86 quarterback QBR rating. His passer rating was 133, 20 of 26, 256 and 2. I just think it was the play calling. The play calling was the problem for them, and it has been the last couple of weeks. I think Dan Campbell ought to think about giving it back to the offensive coordinator.
We'll see about that, but I'll get into it a little bit later. I vehemently disagree against some of those play calls because they did basically what you told them to do the following possession, where they were down by 10, they go and they kick a field goal, still needing a touchdown, and their defense couldn't stop them they had 3 minutes left in the game.
No, 3 minutes. That's nothing. That's not much. I mean, they
That's
could have
plenty of
They
time.
could have been down there on
That's
the floor
plenty of
going for a
time.
touchdown and the tie.
Right,
Instead,
but
they
their
were,
defense couldn't stop them.
Instead, they kicked the field goal, and they're still down by a touchdown with not much time left, and then they couldn't stop the Packers, and they ran the clock out.
Right, so even under that circumstance, the Lions would have lost by 1 then. Because if they kick a field goal, then they can't get the touchdown, so they either go for it on 4th down, that very last drive, or they kick another field goal being down by 1. Still needing to stop them with 3 minutes left in order for them to go win the game.
No. I didn't think the Lions, they could have won this game.
And absolutely
They could have won this game. They beat themselves in this game, in my opinion.
Oh, I disagree with that. I'll get into it right now because I think defensively the play calling and everything was just absolutely pitiful. You allowed the Green Bay Packers to go 3 for 3 on 4th down, 2 of them resulting in a score. The final one being, I believe it was Robertson, got absolutely cooked, and I think that was really the big L for this game was Amik Robertson absolutely getting torched because the Lions decided to pair him up with Christian Watson on 6 of his targets, 3 catches, 72 yards, and a touchdown. Christian Watson being 6'4", Robertson being 5'9". It's the Marcus Jones thing. Why are you putting Marcus Jones, who's 5'9", 5'8", on someone like Tyler Boyd a couple years ago, or T. Higgins, who's significantly bigger than him? To me, that made no sense, and that was really the start of all this. And you saw it a couple weeks ago for the New England Patriots against Drake London, excuse me. Drake London cooked Marcus Jones a couple times once Christian Gonzalez went down, and he also ended up cooking Carlton Davis. But in this game, Jordan Love was pretty good. Yeah, he was under pressure a lot. The Green Bay defense stepped up massively, and as soon as what I noticed immediately was the interesting play calling. As soon as Amon-Ra St. Brown went down and he ended up being questionable and eventually out, what they did was run. It seems like they had no game plan passing-wise until they could assess whether or not Amon-Ra had a chance of coming back out there. So they had no confidence in their own team at that very given moment, because why would you all of a sudden go run when you have one of the best play action, when you are one of top 3 play action teams in the NFL? They ran it 36.4% of the time, and Goff wasn't that effective with it. He was significantly better without any play action. The offensive line, wasn't all that great for the Detroit Lions. Jared Goff seemed under duress a couple times. He operated, under pressure all right, not that great. But I just thought, the Lions had an opportunity to win this game. They played scared very early on. Jared Goff, would he start 0 for 3 in this game? He didn't look very good whatsoever. They tried running the ball a couple times. It didn't work. But I'll give Micah Parsons a lot of credit. He got a lot of flack just for pressuring the quarterback. Well, in this case, Micah Parsons, 10 pressures, 2.5 sacks on 26 pass rushes. The big one for me, though, was that on 3rd downs, he had 4 pressures, 1.5 sacks on only 6 pass rushes. So he was incredibly effective on the most important down for the Detroit Lions, maybe pushing them back a couple yards and whatnot. So I thought ultimately the Green Bay Packers played a perfect style of football. The Detroit Lions have to figure something out. And I don't think that is necessarily play calling, because we saw what Dan Campbell can do while operating the playbook. He put up 44 points against the Washington Commanders and blew out a couple teams. I just think that this team right now, it needs to get healthier. It needs to get better. And we're probably not going to see Amon-Ra St. Brown for a week or two because of his injury. But no, that 4th down play, why are we blaming play calling? The play was there. Jamison Williams dropped it. If he catches it, it's a 1st down, and then they can go. But
it's a risk reward, okay? The risk was too high at that point in the game.
You're down by 10. You need to take risks.
But you kicked the field goal, and now you're only down by a touchdown.
Right. But then ultimately kicked another field goal.
They stopped the Packers. They came back down the field. They were on the 4-yard line. They could have been going for the touchdown to tie the game. Instead, they kicked the field goal.
Well, they were on the 13 because Goff got sacked. Goff got sacked on a 3rd and goal at the 4, and then they had to back up to the 13-yard line.
Well, they kicked the field goal there.
Right, because why would you go for it on 4th and goal on the 13?
The whole tenure of the game would have been different if they'd been going for the touchdown.
So let's just say they do kick a field goal on that first drive in the 4th quarter. Yeah. So now it ultimately ends up being 31-27. 31-27. Or no, 24, excuse me.
Yeah.
Then it's 31-24 after you get the 3rd and out by Green Bay. Are you going for it on 4th down on the 13-yard line?
There's how much time left in the game?
3 minutes left of the game.
Yeah, I'll go for it there.
So you go for it with 3 minutes left in the game, but you wouldn't go for it at the beginning of the 4th quarter.
No,
to me that makes no sense.
No, I wouldn't, because there's lots of time left. There's lots of time left.
So you have the time to take the risks.
You have the
when
time.
It's 3 minutes left on the 13-yard line on an and goal situation, the risk is you get this or the game's over. When there's at the beginning of the 4th quarter.
Maybe not. They still have 3 timeouts left.
Not at that point they didn't. They burned them all as soon as Green Bay started moving the ball down the field.
Well, I think they would have had to go for it there then.
Exactly.
No
so
choice.
what you want to do is you want to be in safer territory.
No, I
you want to be able to
disagree
kick
with
yeah, but I'm confused about
fine.
why though.
You can have your opinion on this one,
right? But this is a discussion.
I think they should have kicked the field goal from the 21-yard line there.
Yeah,
and then they would have been down by a touchdown. It changed the whole tenor of the game. They had a chance to drive down the field. They got to the 4-yard line. They would have been going for a touchdown. Going for a touchdown that would tie the game, and instead, they had a bad play and they wound up back further. They still probably would have gone for the touchdown there. That would have tied the game
if they made it on 4th and goal on the 13-yard line.
Instead, they kicked the field goal that they should have kicked way back there at the beginning of the 4th quarter, and they were still down by 7. Not much time left. They had to try the
3 minutes is plenty of time.
They had to try they burned all their timeouts though to get it to have 3 minutes left. Then they were left with the onside kick that never works.
Well, we do have to realize even then there was still 2 minutes left on the 4th down play, so they had plenty of time even without any timeouts. You have 2 minutes left on a 4th and 3 on the Detroit 45. McManus does not have the leg to kick a 62-yard field goal. Respectfully, he's not going to go for a 62-yard field goal. So they're going to punt it there. And the chances of them pinning it within the 10-yard line or within the 5, my opinion is not that high. So you get on the 20 or the 25-yard line and you need to go down and score. The opportunity for you, I completely agree because, again, the play was there. It's not like he got sacked or it was an overthrow or he was pressured into a bad throw. Jameson Williams dropped the ball. It was open. It would have been a first down. So they would now, the risk is completely gone they convert.
There was no need to take that kind of risk.
You're down by 10.
At that time in the game. No, but it was at the beginning of the 4th quarter. They could have got it cut down with a chip field goal. They could have got it cut down to just a touchdown. I think it changed the whole tenor of the game. It would give the Detroit more momentum. Instead, they walk off the field down 10 points and nothing to show for a decent drive, I just think that the risking it, this, in my opinion, overall, lots of teams are going for it more on 4th down.
True.
I'm not for it. I think many times they go for 4th down too early in the game when they could kick field goals or play for field position, get better field position. And I think it's cost some teams when they go for it on 4th. They take too much risk too soon. Well, that's my feeling.
So you rather them
I'd rather have
risk
them
your
either
situations
punt,
in bigger moments late in the game rather than go for it where you have plenty of time. To me, that makes no sense because why would you take the riskier option? I mean, we just saw
depends on where you are on the field.
We just saw what the Eagles did in this prior game, going for it for 2 when you were down by 9. Instead of having to go for it by 2 if they got the ball back the last drive. We just saw that happen in the game today.
I'll give you an excellent example
Sure.
that defines Mike Kafka and why he's not going to be the Giants' next head coach, right? He had a chance to kick a field goal that would have put them up by 6, okay, with a little over a minute left in the game.
Yeah.
That would have forced
Detroit to score a touchdown.
Detroit to score a touchdown, right?
Yeah.
Instead, he went for it on 4th, ruined an 86-yard drive, 14-play, beautiful drive.
Yeah.
Okay, they got nothing for it, okay? They're still up 3. Detroit goes right down there, gets into field goal range. It was a beautiful field goal by Bates, 59 yards. I mean, that was tough, but he made it. Tied the game up in overtime, Detroit wins.
Yeah.
So that was a mistake.
True.
He should have taken the field goal. And I guarantee you, he will not be the next head coach of the Giants. That defined him. That was a strategic blunder.
Right. No, but that backs up my take because that was their last drive before overtime. So that was the riskier option late in the game. We just saw the Eagles. I just said this. We just saw the Eagles. If they had 2 drives, they had an opportunity to kick the extra point, then score the touchdown and go for 2 to tie the game.
Oh, we haven't gotten to that game yet, but I'm all in on that one too.
Right.
They blew it.
Right, but
they should have kicked the extra point. Instead of going for 2, they blew it. Now they're down by 9, and everyone knows they're done. Even Santa Claus got up and left the game. Santa got up and left.
That was funny.
And they were booing, and Santa got up and left after that happened. I saw it.
He's got a busy month ahead of him. We gotta realize that. All right, let's get into this one. This one blew my mind. The Kansas City Chiefs, they're in some serious danger right now after falling to the woeful defense, or maybe not anymore, of the Dallas Cowboys. Dak Prescott, what a performance he's put on. And overall, the Dallas Cowboys team starting 3-5-1, and all of a sudden a massive resurgence. And now with this Eagles loss, the NFC East is wide open again, in my opinion. Now, if only Jaden Daniels and the Commanders didn't fall apart this season, maybe it could have been a 3-team race in the NFC East. But now it looks like the Cowboys are serious playoff contenders and a serious playoff threat, while the Chiefs, they're looking from the outside in right now, which is an unfamiliar territory for Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid, and this Kansas City Chiefs team to be in. So the question I think everybody's asking, especially after this loss, when Patrick Mahomes against really bad pass defenses has excelled massively, are the Chiefs in legitimate, serious danger of missing the playoffs?
My takeaway on this game, which was a great game. I really enjoyed this game, and I picked the Cowboys, so I was even happier when they won. The Cowboys beat last year's 2 Super Bowl teams after the trade deadline deals restocked their defensive arsenal, which makes you wonder how they managed to lose to the Arizona Cardinals. How did the Cowboys lose to the Cardinals? They just beat the Eagles and the Chiefs. I don't get it. I don't know how that happens. The Cowboys, they beat both Super Bowl teams in successive weeks. Prescott outduels Mahomes in this one in the 3-point win. The Chiefs now 6-6, number 9 in the wild card hunt, and I think they're and so are the Cowboys. They're number 9 in the NFC wild card hunt. But I think that the issues for the Chiefs are much bigger than they are for the Cowboys, because they have the Bills and the Texans ahead of them. 2 very, I would say, very quality teams that have a chance to keep winning here. Whereas the Cowboys, they have the Lions, who seems to be falling apart now, losing 3 of their last 5. The 49ers, who they're excellent. They're so well coached. I have to say that, especially on the defense. They're 8-4, but Brock Purdy's back throwing interceptions now. So I don't know. I think the Cowboys' chances are a little better than the Chiefs, and I think the Chiefs' chances are really not very good at all now. Let's see. The Chiefs, as I said, now it's number 9 in the wild card, 1.5 games behind the Bills and a half game behind the Texans, but they're playing this weekend. If they both win, that makes it even tougher for the Chiefs. The Cowboys are 3-0 since the Nealon guy committed suicide. That's interesting that they've I don't know, maybe what that did for them or did to them. It's a very tough thing, a very sad thing. Maybe they're committing their season to him, and it's given them some new impetus to go out there and win. Mahomes had 4 TDs and 2 in the fourth quarter. He almost brought them back. The last TD to Brown with 3:27 left pulled them within the 3 points. Dallas benefited from 2 pass interference calls and a 13-yard pass to Pickens for a first down that allowed them to run out the play clock. Reed, he said, we had too many penalties. He's been saying that almost every week.
Yeah, that's true.
And you look at the remaining schedule of the Cowboys, they got the Lions. It's going to be a tough one. The Vikings, they should win that one. The Chargers, it'll be a close game, I think. The Commanders, I think they should win that. And the Giants, they should win that. So they've got I think they got a chance to get back in it. The Chiefs, on the other hand, the Texans, to be tough. The Chargers will be tough. The Titans, they should win that. The Broncos, that'll be very tough. And the Raiders, they should win that one. So, I don't know. We'll see. Both quarterbacks had great games last night. The running game, not too much there for the Chiefs, who had run for over 100 yards last week. This time he only got 58 yards on 14 carries. Mahomes had 30 yards on 3 carries. For the Cowboys, Williams, 59 yards. Davis, 47 yards and a touchdown, a big play in the second quarter. Lamb he bounced back, 7 catches for 112 yards and a touchdown. Pickens had 6 for 88 and another circus catch Pickens really looking good out there.
Well, I think ultimately this was a shocker for me because how does the game open with a Dak Prescott interception? It was an ugly throw. He shouldn't have even thrown it. And then that started, we were there. Everyone was there. Family sitting around Thanksgiving. We're like, oh, here, another Dak, big-time game where he crumbles. We just saw a great comeback against the Eagles, but in these big-time, put everything to the middle of the table, playoff-type games, Dak Prescott has the worst playoff percentage, minimum of 5 games played in NFL history.
So
this seemed like one of those games.
He did well
agree.
last night.
I agree. And right now, according to the Athletics playoff predictor, the Chiefs are out of the playoffs. They're going to end up with the 8th seed. So I think that there is a legitimate chance that the Chiefs do not make the playoffs, and I think that there's a lot of issues. First of all, the defense in moments, because we saw it against the Colts, it got absolutely torched by Daniel Jones through the first half or so, and then late in the game, Spagnuolo was like, you know what? Let's turn up the heat a little bit because it's late, because it's a close game now. Let's turn it up a little bit, and then the defense took off, pressured Daniel Jones, ended up with a fractured fibula, which he's going to try to play through, which is interesting for our picks for this week. So I think it was interesting there, but against the Cowboys, Dak Prescott looked comfortable. Besides that one interception, was just a terrible throw. The shocking part is they could run the ball pretty effectively, 5.3 yards a carry. Malik Davis, backup running back, had 15.7 yards a carry with a 43-yard run throughout this game. I just think that the Chiefs right now, there's a lot of holes. Right now, it's Rashee Rice and then a touch of Xavier Worthy. Travis Kelce, big-time game? When? Not really that much. Isaiah Pacheco's first game back and 3 carries, 16 yards. Not really great for your quote-unquote starting running back. You tried with Kareem Hunt again, and he had an okay game. Nothing too spectacular, 4.1 yards a carry. But Mahomes played as well as you could, I guess. 4 touchdowns, 261 passing yards. He had an 85.1 QBR in this game. But
That's a rating.
Yeah. Right now, Mahomes, he's trying his best out there, as it should be. He's also had some very, very questionable games. But the big man, Quinnen Williams, which you didn't love the move when it was made at the trade deadline, he stepped up big in this one, led the Cowboys in pressures with 6. He had 5 quarterback hurries, which was the most on his team, about 1/3 of all the hurries that the Cowboys have for this game. Even Jadeveon Clowney turned back the hands of time, and he played a very, very good game. But I think we also have to add a little bit of context here. Both starting tackles for the Chiefs were either out or down in this game. So, and also Trey Smith, their tremendous guard, was also out for this game. So, is this a little bit of an asterisk game where the Chiefs could have won, but because of the injuries there came up a little bit short? I'm not entirely sure because the offense wasn't really hindered. It put up 28 points and led throughout this game.
No, it's the defense.
The defense is what was shocking because you look at Chris Jones. Chris Jones' impact was what exactly? He didn't really do too much. He had 2 pressures in the entire game and 2 tackles. He's supposed to be their big-time enforcer, and that's just not – he really did nothing besides that.
Yeah.
So I think that this Chiefs defense is not what it used to be. A lot of really crucial, unfortunate penalties, a couple defensive pass interference. I believe what the Xavier Worthy no, I'm thinking of another game. But, the penalties were killers. Mahomes looked all right, not great. Dak Prescott played, I think, a very, very good game. And the Cowboys, and this is one thing that I noticed. The Cowboys and what some of these teams that go up against the Chiefs maybe try to not do, but ultimately end up doing is the Cowboys played their style of football. They didn't exactly bend to the will of the Chiefs, especially late. They kept trying to play their style of football, give it to Javonte Williams, keep running the football. Even though it's not tremendously effective, 3.5 yards a carry, he had 17 carries on the day. Don't go one-dimensional because then the Chiefs could just guess. Spagnuolo could crank up the pressure, and all of a sudden, Dak Prescott's running for his life. The Cowboys kept up tempo. They kept their game plan. They kept trying to run the football effectively. The penalties, plus the Cowboys playing Cowboy-style football, I think was huge in this one. We had a 25-point fourth quarter amongst the 2 teams.
Yeah, it was great. It was a great game. I enjoyed it a lot. I think the Chiefs, they got to win out. I think to have a chance at the playoffs, they need some help. They can help themselves by beating the Texans next week, but I think that'll be very hard for them to do. They have the Chargers, which are a credible team. They have the Broncos, which are leading the division. Those are the teams they're going to have to beat them this time around, or they're done. They can't lose another game.
Well, I think right now for the Broncos, we have Pat Surtain back for this week. So they're getting healthier. They're obviously going to play much better, in my opinion, this week with their fully healthy defense. The Houston Texans game is interesting because of the fact that C.J. Stroud's off concussion protocol right now. He will be starting for this week. The point spread right now, Texans at Chiefs, is plus 4.5 for the Texans, so -4 for the Chiefs. I might be taking the Texans point spread there. I think this is going to be a low-scoring game, and the big thing for me was Mahomes had a couple really, really crucial runs. They got the edges secured. That middle of the field, though, that's where Mahomes really could, take off and run and get those first downs that he got in this one. He had, 30 rushing yards for the game is. If you could secure the front of the offensive line and then generate pressure on the edges, Mahomes has nowhere to go. So he's not looking down the field. He's looking at his offensive line. He's looking at where the pressure comes from. And that's where we've seen some of these teams where you might think, they have a shot, but it's the Chiefs, so you have to trust the Chiefs, where those teams come and capitalize and then end up getting this big-time win. And the Cowboys did that occasionally. And also the big one is when the Colts last week were getting sacks, Patrick Mahomes wasn't losing many yards from those sacks. He got sacked 4 times, I believe. I have it right here. 4 times, but only 6 lost yards on those sacks. This one, 3 sacks, 18 yards lost on those.
Yeah.
So they were pushing him back. They were making him feel a little bit of pressure. And I think, Mahomes got a little nervous in this game. But when you have Rashee Rice and you have all these gadget plays, how nervous can you really be?
I thought Mahomes played great, but it's one guy can't beat another team, so he needs some help. And his offensive line is banged up, and the Cowboys have strengthened their defense.
That's a big one.
You can see their defense is really credible the last couple of weeks, and it's because of Jerry Jones. He went out and got the new players.
I also think it's important, especially when you have a good pass rush, which they didn't have early in the season, and I put up the numbers a while ago compared to last year with Micah Parsons. That means that you're not generating pressure, which means that your DBs, who are some of the worst in the NFL, for large parts of the season, besides the past couple weeks, they were getting cooked all day. So you're putting a lot of pressure on bad defensive backs to step up because you weren't getting a big pass rush. Now with Overshown back, with Ezeraku playing very well, with Quinnen Williams up the middle, you have a better pass rush, which then allows your DBs to not get cooked after only 2 seconds. It generates more pressure, puts QBs under more duress, and allows your defense to capitalize maybe on some pressure mistakes.
Yeah. Go Cowboys! I'd like to see him get back in there and give the Eagles a good run for their money.
I agree. We're going to take a quick 30-second break, but coming up, Joe Burrow is back, and the Ravens look like they're taking one step back. Lamar did not look great. Also, tonight's game ended about 40 minutes ago or so. Bears-Eagles Black Friday game. Eagles, are you willing to admit there's something going on like back in 2023? It's not looking good. Not looking good.
It does seem like it, except it's the offense this time that's falling apart instead of the defense.
Yeah, we'll talk about all of that right after this really short break.
Using Wi-Fi without NordVPN could mean sharing your private stuff with more people than you think. Stay safe on public Wi-Fi. Get NordVPN's special offer and encrypt your internet connection. NordVPN. Online security starts with a click.
Welcome back to the Harvey Hour. My name's Nathan Harvey. It's great to have you in today on this Black Friday. As always, I'm joined alongside my dad, Stephen Harvey. Let's get into our next topic of today's show, which is the Thursday night thriller between Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals and Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens, where the Bengals, 7-point underdogs, able to take over and dominate in this game basically second quarter on. It was really over at that point. Lamar Jackson did not look good whatsoever. No real running game. Joe Burrow, he was very rusty early, 50% completion percentage, and sometimes below in this game, but ultimately ended up 24-46, 261 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks, only 1 sack behind that offensive line. That's a big one there. The Ravens got outran, which is shocking looking at it right now. Joe Burrow out through Lamar Jackson. The defense of the Bengals play well. The Bengals just beat them on all phases of the game, and Lamar Jackson and the Ravens fall to 6-6, keeping the Steelers' hopes alive of maintaining that division lead. We'll see what this week against the Bills will do for that. But ultimately, I don't know, what was your reaction to the Ravens falling as 7-point favorites to the Cincinnati Bengals?
Yeah, well, Joe Burrow returned from injury, delivered a poised performance, while Lamar Jackson looked erratic and uncertain in a game where a win carried a lot of importance. And, I don't know what's going on with Lamar. Maybe he's suffering a little bit from those injuries he had, but he sure doesn't look like himself lately. And they've gone from a team that had a terrible defense and fixed that to now one where the offense is falling apart. They aren't passing the ball well. They aren't running it either. The Bengals snapped the Ravens' 5-game winning streak with Burrow throwing 2 second-half touchdowns. The Ravens lost 3 fumbles in the first half and had 5 total turnovers, 2 fumbles and an interception by Lamar. Fumbled TD by Likely. That was amazing how he managed to do that. And a fumbled pass catch by Flowers. Flowers also had a TD catch wiped out by an offensive pass interference. So you could argue that the Ravens beat themselves a little bit, but they did lose 32-14. That's a pretty big differential. Derrick Henry only 60 yards against the NFL's worst defense. What happened there? Fewest points allowed by the Bengals all season. How's that happen against the Ravens? First, it was the Ravens' defense, as I said, that was the problem. Now it's their offense. You look at Lamar, a very pedestrian performance, 17-32, 246, no touchdowns and an interception. Derrick Henry, as I mentioned, 10 carries, 60 yards, 1 touchdown. Why do you only carry the ball 10 times? We know what the formula is for the Ravens winning. They need to give Henry the ball at least 15 or 20 times to soften up the defense and keep the other team's offense off the field. Likely had 5 catches for 95 yards, but he had that terrible bobble there just before he went into the end zone. Wound up being a touchback. They lost their chance at 7 points there, and Andrews had 4 catches for 47 yards. You mentioned Burrow's stats, not elite, but they were good enough, and you could see the Bengals were motivated by having him out there on the field. Brown had a good game, 15 carries, 78 yards, and Chase, he's building up a pretty good season here now, despite having nobody to throw him the ball for about 9 weeks. 7 catches for 110 yards. You know, the Bengals, there's an outside chance they could get back in it.
Oh, I'm already there. I really think there is an opening here for the Cincinnati Bengals to capitalize, especially with the team playing as well as it did in this game. We're talking about a defense that was number 2 in points allowed over the past few weeks, and all of a sudden, Joe Burrow in his first game back, first of all, looked great. Turf toe, he was running all over the place, not wincing a single time. He looks fully healthy. He even took a couple runs, a QB sneak or 2 as well, so he was putting himself in harm's way, and he seemed absolutely fine. But yeah, no, this is a classic Todd Monken, what the hell are you doing type of a game. Because as I've pointed out, again, I don't hear many people talking about it, but the data is out there. When Derrick Henry rushes 15 or more times, you have basically a 3/4 shot at winning the football game. And this one, he had 10 carries. What are you doing? In the second quarter, Baltimore opened the second quarter 7-3. The Bengals had the ball. So even if you want to say, okay, well, that drive ended in a field goal when they opened the second quarter, that drive ended in a field goal for the Bengals. Okay, 7-6. Ravens still winning. What did the Ravens game plan say? What did Todd Monken draw up? 12 Lamar Jackson dropbacks, 0 Derrick Henry runs. What are you doing? That makes no sense. You have a guy who's 240 pounds, who barrels through people like they're nothing, and you didn't hand the ball off to him a single time. To me, that makes no sense. And what did you do? You put the ball in Lamar's hands over the past couple weeks, which has been largely ineffective. There's something weird with Lamar going on over the past few weeks. He just doesn't look right. He's not running very fast anymore. He's throwing a lot of overthrows or just completely inaccurate passes. And we had a game where Lamar dropped back 38 times and had 10 Derrick Henry rushes. This was a horrible game plan by Todd Monken, but we've seen this repeatedly. We've seen this since he got there. The biggest one for me was you're going up against, in the AFC Championship game a couple years ago, you're going up against one of the worst running defenses with the Kansas City Chiefs. They were like a top 3 pass defense. And what do? You run with the running backs, I think it was 6 times, and you throw the ball. You put the ball in Lamar Jackson's hands, and you just throw it a bunch. The score ended up being 17-10. Kansas City wins. But all you got to do is hand the ball off to this guy who, by the way, scored a touchdown in the first quarter already. So it's not like he was ineffective or not running very well. He was doing a perfectly fine job. And I'll give credit to where credit's due. The Cincy defense did a great job at limiting Lamar Jackson, and here's the big one for me, capitalizing on turnovers. Because you could have a turnover all you want. What about scoring on it? Because then the turnover is basically nothing. It's just a change of possession and another change of possession. Joe Burrow and this team, they kicked a lot of field goals. If you had Evan McPherson on your fantasy team, I'm sure he put up a bunch of points this week. And Joe Burrow did look very, very rusty in the first half. He had, 32 attempts, 15 completions or something like that? I mean, do you want Joe Burrow throwing it that many times in the first half? I don't. But in the second half, 14 throws, 9 completions, 96 yards, and 2 touchdowns, a 124 passer rating. So he got into rhythm very nicely in that second half. And it also helps when you're able to run the ball, you gain a lead. And also, I'll say this. The last 3 meetings, Joe Burrow and the Bengals against the Baltimore Ravens, I could add context all day. The defense for the Cincinnati Bengals was so bad. And also, you have a rookie punter taking a snap, and you give the ball to Chase Brown 3 times when Joe Burrow was lights out in one of the games last year. And all of a sudden, Derrick Henry breaks off for a 50-yard run. They kick the game-winning field goal. In the last 3 games, Joe Burrow, 1,081 passing yards, 11 touchdowns, 1 pick against the Baltimore Ravens. Joe Burrow has never been the problem against these Baltimore Ravens. And finally, the other side stepped up. The offensive line protected them like they were, an iron curtain. I mean, no pressures whatsoever. Joe Burrow looked relatively comfortable behind that offensive line, which hasn't been great throughout the year, and at one point was one of the worst and the worst offensive line in the NFL. And here's the big one for me, the shocking one. The Cincy defense was tremendous. I mean, the play, Isaiah Likely reaching for it, and you have, the wherewithal to smack his arm, which then he fumbles out of the back of the end zone. I thought that was a tremendously well-executed play, a very smart play. And the big one is just capitalizing on the turnovers. When you have, a 5-1 turnover differential, that's when you're going to win games here. A lot of fumbles, a lot of bad plays. Lamar threw a bad pick. I just think that this was a great game for Cincinnati. And by the way, without Trey Hendrickson still. So they're able to do this, sack Lamar 3 times, pick him off, a number of fumbles lost. They did a tremendous job. This was full Cincinnati Bengals football.
Yeah. The other thing I'll say about your comment on the Derrick Henry not getting enough touches in the game, even if he doesn't get huge runs, he softens the defense up. By the fourth quarter, if you've pounded them with Derrick Henry for 20 carries, and you get into the last 5 minutes of the game, the defense is gassed.
Nobody wants to tackle him at that point.
Nobody wants him at that point. He's an amazing athlete.
Yeah.
He still has his juice. So that's another reason to hand him the ball more. It made no sense. I don't understand it at all.
Well, think about this. Against the New York Jets in that close game, down 7-3 at halftime, you still give the ball to Derrick Henry much more. You ran it 21 times and you only had 64 yards. 3 yards a carry. It didn't matter, though, because you handed the ball up to a guy who's 240 pounds, and, in the fourth quarter when you need a play, who else are you going to give it to? The New York Jets did not want to tackle Derrick Henry when all of a sudden their lead was slipping and ultimately ended up, getting blown out by 13. So I completely agree, and that's the big thing. Derrick Henry's yards per attempt go up massively in the fourth quarter, and that's why. When you keep pounding the rock with him and he keeps barreling into guys in the fourth quarter, and normally you're losing pretty badly at that point, you don't care anymore. You don't want to tackle him anymore. You just want the game to be over at that point. In this game, you had opportunities. The Bengals had a very good third quarter, but they didn't need to have this massive, think about it. They had 2 drives in the second quarter, the Baltimore Ravens did. 12 throws, no runs with Derrick Henry. And on that first drive, you were up 7-6.
Yeah, they got to relook at that. And, they think that Harbaugh has got to sit down with the offensive coordinator and work something out here, because they managed to fix their defense. It's a shame that now the offense is kind of crumbling.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate, but this is kind of what the Baltimore Ravens do in some of these big-time games. They don't play into their strength. Their strength has always been, since Lamar Jackson got there, run the damn ball. They were a number 1 running team for 4 straight years. Then Todd Monken got there. The passing game, Lamar's passing game improved. But in the AFC Championship game, it was, let's just put it on Lamar. It went back to Superman Lamar, which was his rookie year in the playoff game, and against the Titans that first time, where he was doing everything. That's not a recipe for success. We've seen that from Josh Allen. When he needs to go Superman for a season,
it's time for
it doesn't work.
Hopefully Harbaugh's listening to us, and he
ain't going to change. It's Todd Monken.
Get with Monken and tell him, look, guy, you got to run the ball more. It's a 60-minute game. Let's hit the first half. Let's run the ball a lot more.
Well, even then, in the second half, don't lose the ability to run.
Right.
Unless you're getting blown out, then obviously you need to throw it. But if it's a close game, play into your strength.
Yeah.
To me, this made no sense. But the Bengals defense played an incredible, 60 minutes of football. Joe Burrow was very rusty early. I'll also add this to wrap it up. We saw the Bengals offense sputter a lot, and I think that could be due to T. Higgins being lost, because then you were targeting Mitchell Tinsley, who struggled massively. 8 targets, only 2 catches. He had 2 drops in this game. He did not play very well. Joe Burrow tried to get him the football a lot. It just ended up not working whatsoever. He forced the ball a couple times.
Worked pretty well with Jamar Chase.
Yeah, 14 targets, 7 catches, 110 yards. I wish I got a touchdown, but, it went to Tanner Hudson and Andre Yosevich. So I think that, there's an opportunity for the Bengals to capitalize on this and continue to win football games, because if we take a look at their schedule real quick, and I do think there is an opportunity for the Steelers to lose a couple games, for the Ravens, if they keep playing like this, to lose maybe against the New England Patriots, who they play in a couple weeks here. But the Bengals, they play at Buffalo. Buffalo has no running defense. So if you're able to run the ball effectively and enough to use play action, and, again, I'll have to figure out T. Higgins'
let's
status
say maybe they win that game.
So if they win that
next?
They play Baltimore again. At home, though. Are we saying that there's a repeat performance from Cincinnati?
That's going to be tough, man. They're going to be pumped. The Ravens, they're going to be mad that they lost that game.
So we'll say they split. At Miami.
They should win that one.
Okay. Versus Cardinals.
They should win that one.
Versus Browns.
They should win that.
So they go 4-1. Now, I think that you will need to win out.
Then they'd be 8-9.
Right. I don't know if 8-9 wins this division or lets them into the playoffs, because if you look at Jacksonville, they're 7-4. The Chargers 7-4. Buffalo 7-4. Now the only way is you do beat Buffalo. Then if the game late in the season, you could have that 8-9 tiebreaker to make it to the 7th seed. But also have to realize Chiefs have 6 wins as well. Houston 6-5. Baltimore right now 6-6.
My thought on the Bengals is their path is not the wild card. Their path is to win the division.
Well, that's what you need. That's
I think
true.
that's easier. I think winning the division is easier.
I wish Joe Burrow played against Pittsburgh, because that's the big one. I think you swapped with Pittsburgh. So, because Joe Flacco had that crazy game, the 40-year-old versus the 41-year-old, and they were trading blows back and forth, and then you get blown out by 22 points a couple weeks ago. I think if Joe Burrow played against the Patriots would have lost, because it was 26-20. The Patriots looked
I know.
weird.
I would think the Patriots are lucky that Joe Burrow was not in that game.
Yeah.
One thing, I got a question for you.
Yeah.
They did something to Burrow's shoe. They put a carbon fiber plate in it.
Okay.
So that and he obviously was not feeling it. Maybe he had a shot or something too. But
Could be.
But his foot was fine. Why wouldn't everyone wear a carbon fiber plate to prevent a toe injury now? Those toe injuries have cost a lot of players a lot of time.
Well, Brock Purdy.
Yeah, right.
Brock Purdy had
all
an
the
issue
time
there.
he was out. So why not have some more preventive stuff? And I see these guys with this thing on with
The
their
Guardian
helmet.
cap.
The Guardian cap. Why doesn't everyone have to wear one of those?
Because there are some helmets that are as effective as a Guardian cap. So like Tua.
Well, then
Tua
why does a
wears
guy
one like
wear
that.
a Guardian cap? It looks crazy. Why didn't they wear
Romeo
the other
Dobbs
helmet?
does that.
Why don't they wear the other helmet then?
I'm not sure. I'm maybe there's some.
I think everyone.
differences?
If there's a helmet out there that's as good as that Guardian cap, then everybody ought to be wearing it. Maybe they are. Maybe that's true. I don't know.
Maybe it's preference.
But I think that some of this preventative stuff is something they should explore more, especially the toe injuries.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's what's interesting. We've seen a lot of turf toe. I mean, Lamar was dealing with a foot injury, and maybe that's what's affecting him now.
Could be.
I don't know, because if we saw Kirk Cousins, he came back, when he first started with the Falcons, last year, when he was coming back from his Achilles, he didn't trust his legs. He didn't trust, getting hit or getting hit low. So you see his footwork was off. He was doing a lot of inaccurate passes early in the season. And so people were wondering, okay, what's wrong with Kirk Cousins? His footwork looked off. He didn't trust it. Brock Purdy, there's some differences in the way he's been throwing the football, especially against the Carolina Panthers. There were some weird things. Anticipation was off. Footwork was off. There wasn't enough juice on some of those footballs. Underthrowing a lot. So could that be a case? Joe Burrow looked great. I think that this was a motivation game, I think, to make an example, to be like, we're 7-point underdogs on Thanksgiving night. This is my first game back. We still got a shot. And I think he stepped up big in this one to get a big-time win.
Yeah.
All right, let's go to today's game, the one that ended about an hour ago, the shocking one, the Chicago Bears, 7-point underdogs, lost to beat the Philadelphia Eagles, in a very dominating fashion, I think. The Eagles really didn't look in this game whatsoever.
They weren't ready to play.
It looked very
weird.
weird.
Maybe they were all out partying yesterday for Thanksgiving or something, because they were like dead men walking out there.
Yeah,
they didn't seem to have any enthusiasm. They made a bunch of mistakes. They just the crowd was booing them.
Well, from the get-go.
Santa got up and left.
Here's
come on.
Here's what's going to be interesting, because we saw it last week. They lost, but A.J. Brown got his 10 targets, 8 catches, and a touchdown.
Yeah, it's same today.
He got 12 targets, 10 catches, 132 yards, and the only 2 touchdowns Jalen Hurts throws. So my question to you is, does this game say more about the Chicago Bears or the Philadelphia Eagles?
I'd say in the win, it says more about the Bears, because they were ready to play, and they're looking pretty credible now. I mean, they did beat the Eagles. That's a benchmark game for them. They came in and they were ahead the whole game, and they built on their lead. And the Eagles taking that huge mistake, scoring a touchdown. Missing the extra point was a huge mistake. And then scoring the touchdown instead of kicking an extra point there to be down by 8 with another chance to maybe come down the field and try to tie it up. They went for the 2-pointer there and then missed it, and the game was basically over then. That's when everyone got up and left. So I think it was poor coaching in this game. The coach did not have his team ready to play. And maybe they didn't like the cold. I don't know. I mean, the Eagles are kind of a cold weather team. The Bears are too. The Bears are too. It was cold. The wind was blowing. So maybe the Eagles didn't like that. I don't know. There's something weird going on there. I thought they'd win.
Well, I think everybody did. Yeah. I think that was the big one. But no, I mean, I'll say this. We're not going to hear from A.J. Brown. I doubt it, because they lost last week. We didn't hear anything about A.J. Brown because he got his. Again, A.J.
Brown is not a team player.
I was about to say, A.J. Brown plays for himself.
As long as he gets his touches and he gets his stats, he's happy.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, because even when they were winning, because he didn't get his 100 yards and a touchdown or 2 or 15 targets,
he's all upset.
All of a sudden, every single week, we'd hear something
You don't hear
new.
from him when they lose and he gets big numbers.
Exactly. And I think that's it's not a team player. And I think by the end of I'm making a prediction. A.J. Brown will be traded in this offseason. I think Howie Roseman's done. I think Nick Sirianni is done answering for him or answering for his antics. I think he's just completely done. And I think Jalen Hurts is a very monotone, very serious, all business, none of the social media nonsense A.J. Brown's doing. I think that he's going to be a major player in whether or not A.J. Brown is on this team for 2026. And I think the answer is he's not going to be.
I wonder what A.J.'s book says about being a teammate.
Maybe he should open up that book again on the sideline.
Maybe he should be. I don't know what he's reading these days, but it's not about being a good teammate.
Yeah, I would actually agree, just based on his actions. But for me, no, the Eagles, there's something wrong, because their offense is still broken, and their defense was even worse this game. Because you had Kyle Monangai go for 22 and 130, 5.9 yards a carry and a touchdown. DeAndre Swift, again, turned back the hands of time a little bit. 18 carries, 125 yards, 6.9 yards a carry, and a touchdown. So they had 2 100-yard rushers. They ran it 47 times for 281 yards and 2 touchdowns. I mean, the Chicago Bears offense, Caleb Williams, by the way, wasn't all that great. He had a beautiful, beautiful throw late in the game. That last touchdown they got was a beautiful throw. But outside of that, the passing game just wasn't really there. He only had 154 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. So he didn't play that particularly well. A passer rating of 56.9. It was the running game that really kept the Bears in this game. And I thought there were opportunities for the Eagles to capitalize. But again, just like you said, Santa left. I think all the Eagles are going to be on the naughty list this year because they're not doing anything.
I give Ben Johnson a lot of credit in this
He deserves
game.
100%.
His passing game wasn't working, so he went to the run, stuck with it, and that was the difference in this game. They kept the Eagles off the field. Both running backs with more than 100 yards. It's probably, I wonder when that last happened for the Bears. Not recently, that's for sure. But Ben Johnson, he's got 9 wins now. 9-3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A complete reverse of where the Bears were last year.
Yeah, they're in first place in the division.
They're the 2nd seed in the NFC.
Yeah.
That's utterly ridiculous. They were 5-12 last year, and Matt Eberflus was ripping his hair out, then got fired. Caleb Williams looked lost and kept getting sacked. The defense wasn't all that great. Then all of a sudden, you draft a couple good guys. You obviously replace your head coach.
Free agents.
Ben Johnson, the interior of the offensive line is completely rebuilt here.
No, I think Ben Johnson's the major reason.
Oh, absolutely. 100%, because I just think the offensive scheme is better. The running game is better. I think that the moves that they made in the offseason of the interior offensive line makes DeAndre Swift not look like he did last year, which was he can't run the football at all. He looks like a backup or a third-string running back.
Their running game, I think, is ranked right up near the top now.
I could tell you that in 1 second, because based on this performance, I wouldn't disagree. They are second in the NFL in rushing.
Second in the NFL in rushing.
Well, we'll see what it is now. Pro Football Reference doesn't update this until tomorrow.
Might be first.
But, the way they've been playing so far, over the past few weeks, I mean, think about this. They have 1 loss since week 2. So they've been an incredibly, effective team. They have wins over the Bengals, the Ravens, the Cowboys, the Vikings, the Steelers, and now the Eagles. So they're beating some very, very good defenses and good teams. Very well-run teams. And this is a team that was so poorly run last year, they got rid of everybody. Yeah. I mean, think about it. They had 3 different coaches at one point? The QB coach became the OC. The OC became the head coach. The quarterback coach was a new buddy. Everybody was all over the place.
They were all fighting with one another, too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So winning cures all.
Yeah,
and the Bears are 9-3. We'll see what happens.
I mean, they look significantly better, but no, the Eagles. This is what we've known from the Eagles. They lose in crazy fashion. Even when they win, morale is so low.
Why didn't I pick the Bears? I don't get it.
We picked the Bears to cover. Because I think no, but here's the thing: the Eagles are the better team.
I can't pick the point spreads well at all. Now I'm 3-4, 3-1 in the point spreads, and 1-3 in the straight up.
Well, we're both under 500 for the points, but we are getting killed this year, absolutely killed, and you're beating me by 6 games of the win-loss.
Maybe this will give my week to get better in the point spread.
Well, we're off to a rough start there. I think you're actually a little bit better than I am. But no, I think right now the Eagles, they always do this. There's some weird situation every single year, and I don't know what your opinion on this is. The complete turnover, and this is sometimes when you have a very good team, this will happen. It happens every year for the Philadelphia Eagles. The turnover of offensive coordinators consistently.
Well,
what has Jalen Hurts had 5 or 6 OCs since he came into the league?
When you win, your coaching staff is pirated.
That's true.
That's what's happened. I mean, look at all the players, all the coaches that have left the Eagles and gone on to be head coaches.
Yeah.
Quite a few.
I also think it's important. With Lane Johnson out, Saquon Barkley's effectiveness has plummeted. I mean, we're talking about a guy who just broke the record for total season rushing yards. And all of a sudden in this game, against a Bears defense that isn't good, the Bears defense is not that good. It's an opportunistic defense. 13 carries, 56 yards, no touchdown. And he had a very bad drop late in the game.
Yeah.
So I think that this Eagles team, I don't know how far it'll go. They're 8-3, or they're 8-4 right now. They're still number 1 in the NFC East.
Yeah,
but
they have to need to go on a run. Who do they play? Who do they have left?
Okay, so the fortunate thing is, they play a couple very bad teams. By a couple, I mean 2. Actually, they play 2 bad teams. They play one of these teams twice. So they lost to the Bears at Chargers.
Now you have a hard time winning that one.
So we'll give them a loss. Versus the Raiders, that's a win. If they lose that game, that football game,
then the Cowboys,
it's DEFCON 1. Everybody needs to go. Because how do you lose to, I think right now the Raiders might be the worst team in the NFL. You lost to Shedeur Sanders and the Cleveland Browns, whose offense couldn't do anything forever. At Commanders.
They should win that.
Okay. At Buffalo.
I'm not so sure about that one.
Okay, so we'll give them a loss. And then versus Commanders.
They should win that one, too.
So 11 wins.
11 wins. 11 wins should win the division.
With the Cowboys?
Yeah, I think so. The Cowboys going to get 11 wins.
Well, their schedule, let's take a look at what their schedule looks like.
I already went through this schedule.
Lions, Vikings, they play the Giants, and they play the Commanders. That
so
should
they
be
get the
2
2
wins.
but that only gets them 7 wins.
It's
8 wins.
Here's what's interesting. How long will J.J. McCarthy be on concussion protocol for? Because C.J. Stroud missed a number of weeks on concussion protocol.
I don't. If J.J. McCarthy is back in there, I don't think the Vikings win.
Okay, so then that's 3 wins for the Cowboys.
Okay, 3 more wins.
The biggest game
so they have 6,
is this next
9.
week.
Maybe they're going to sneak into a wild card spot. But if the Eagles win all those games and wind up with 11 wins, I don't think the Cowboys win the division.
Well, here's my question, though. The biggest game is next week because their schedule does lighten up depending on how you look at it. Because the Chargers, who knows? They play at Lions.
The Lions have to have that game.
Think about this. If we include the 3,
have to have that
1,000%. If we include the 3 wins that we just talked about plus that Lions game, that's 10 wins. So that Chargers game could be the difference between winning the NFC East or maybe missing the playoffs, depending on how the rest of the NFC plays out. But I do think there's an opportunity.
To the Eagles.
If you get to the Eagles, yeah.
Yeah.
Because you split with them, and I would need to check the division record. I don't know it off the top of my head. But if you have a better division record, you win the tiebreaker, you claim that spot. So this was a massive loss for the Eagles.
Yeah.
Because this
at home, they're playing at home.
This opens the division wide open now for the Cowboys because they're on a hot streak. You keep losing football games. There's something weird going on with your organization.
Well, my feeling is the Cowboys have to win out in order to win the division. I don't see how they can win it.
Then that Lions game is the biggest of the season for them. Yeah. This game against the Chiefs was. The Lions is now the second biggest game they'll play this year.
Cowboys play well against the toughest teams. How'd they get beat by the Cardinals? I still don't understand it.
The mysteries of the NFL.
Yeah, and there was another game. What was the game before that one? They got beat pretty badly, and it was kind of a surprise. They were sitting over on the sidelines.
Panthers.
The Panthers.
They got
beat
by
Panthers
3 points to the Panthers.
and the Cardinals. Can you imagine where they'd be now if they had those 2 wins?
Yeah.
They'd have 8 wins now.
Yeah.
They'd be tied with the Eagles.
Yeah. And again, depending on
how'd you
tiebreakers,
lose
they could
those
be above.
games, guys? How'd you lose to the Panthers?
Because they couldn't stop the run. 216 rushing yards they allowed.
Yeah. Well, they kind of fixed that.
Yeah. No, I mean, right now, think about it. They allowed 362 yards. They were averaging 500, 400, 370, 410, 426. Those are the yards given up, and now you're doing 362, which is not, all that great, but against the Chiefs and then winning, it's huge. 339, 236. So this defense has come alive. The pass rush is there. The run stopping is there now.
Overshawn back.
He's been a tremendously helpful piece in this game.
And the 2 new pieces.
Jadeveon Clowney also. Logan Wilson has been pretty good for them since getting him from the Bengals. So the Cowboys look really good. What I will say, though, briefly, before we head to our final break here, news broke a little bit. Jerry Jones went on the radio today. Just want to get your quick reaction.
Take full credit for the win.
Well, no, think about this. He said that he offered Micah Parsons and a first-round pick for Quinnen Williams.
Really?
Yeah. Micah and a first.
And the Jets didn't take it?
Do you think they were willing to pay Micah $47 million a year?
That's why. No.
Let's just say I have a Jets friend who was very upset that the Jets turned that down. Monetary value, obviously, we'll see. He's been great for the Green Bay Packers pressure-wise. But again, opportunities to get one of the best pass rushers in the NFL, it fell short. All right, coming up, we make the remaining picks for Week 13. And after a losing week last week, we're going to try to bounce back for the Harvey hot hand. I got a couple good picks. One shocking pick that I don't feel great about, but, trends. Trends are important. I'm believing in the trends here. So I'll talk about that right after this quick 30-second break.
Using Wi-Fi without NordVPN could mean sharing your private stuff with more people than you think. Stay safe on public Wi-Fi. Get NordVPN's special offer and encrypt your internet connection. NordVPN. Online security starts with a click.
Welcome back to the Harvey Hour. My name is Nathan Harvey. It's great to have you in today on this Black Friday. As always, I'm joined alongside my dad, Stephen Harvey. Let's get into our next topic of today's show, which is our weekly picks. Every week throughout the NFL season, we make every single pick and prediction for every single game this week. There are no teams on buys. So we got a lot of games to watch on Sunday and one on Monday, of course. So let's get into it. After a thrilling Thanksgiving 3-game stretch and then ending today, Black Friday, Bears overcoming the Eagles. We have all upsets so far. Is that a sign of things to come? Well, let's look into it for my picks for this week. I'm going probably not, though. So let's start with the first one. 49ers at the Cleveland Browns. I believe so much in this Cleveland Browns defense, and I made the bold prediction that I think that not only is Myles Garrett going to break the sack record, I think depending on how he does in this game against the 49ers and their upcoming schedule against adequate to all right to not great offensive lines, I think there's a shot he gets to 30 more. I think he gets to 30 sacks, which would obliterate the record by 7.5 sacks, but he is just that dominant. So in this game, with Brock Purdy not looking that great, with the offensive line for the Niners not being tremendous, and with this Browns defense being as good as it is, I have to take the Browns to cover. But I think just based on principle offensively, the 49ers technically are the better team. With CMC, I think he'll have a big late game run to seal this win for the Niners. The Niners get the win, but I do think Cleveland with that defense does cover the 4.5-point spread. The next one, the Falcons at the Jets. Is this the game where I finally believe in Kirk Cousins and the Falcons, and then the Jets all of a sudden upset? Maybe, but I will take the team that I do think is better. Kirk Cousins played very well. As you said in your weekly report on Tuesday, Kirk Cousins coming out of the darkness and all of a sudden playing very, very good football. I also think it was the very good defense of the Atlanta Falcons that stepped up big here, and I think that would be the same thing. Tyrod Taylor made this Jets offense look pretty good, looked actually acceptable, and going into halftime against the Ravens, up 7-3 and then fell apart. So I think this is another great defensive performance by the Atlanta Falcons. Kirk Cousins and Bijan Robinson, they'll do something weird. Drake London, I believe, is out for this game, which is unfortunate, but I do think that'll be the Bijan show offensively, with Kirk Cousins being very efficient with the football. Give me the Falcons, -2.5 over the Jets. Next one, Jacksonville at the Tennessee Titans. Is it a risk taking Jacksonville, a terrible team, against the actually surprisingly warm, I'm not going to say hot because they can't win football games, but the warm Tennessee Titans, which were 13.5-point underdogs and lost by only 6 against the Seattle Seahawks? Maybe. But this is an opportunity for Trevor Lawrence to finally earn that $55 million a year contract, which he hasn't done so far this season and hasn't done since he put pen to paper and signed that deal. I think right now the Jaguars are getting ripped off, and I want to see Liam Cohen, the offensive guru that we got ripped on a number of months ago when we, took a little bit of heat over our take on his decision to leave the Buccaneers in the shadows. But I will take the Jacksonville Jaguars here. Their defense is opportunistic, and against Cam Ward, who, by the way, the last 3 games hasn't thrown an interception, we could see an interception or two, I think, for the Jaguars defense here. So give me the Jaguars to cover the -6.5 and beat the Tennessee Titans. The next one, the Texans at the Colts. Daniel Jones playing on a fractured fibula. I don't love that, especially for my fantasy team. Don't love that. I am taking the Texans to cover. C.J. Stroud is back, but I don't think it would have mattered either way, because I think that this Texans defense, I think, is going to do a number on the Colts offensive line. And in that case, this could be primed for an upset here. That's what I'm saying. I'm very tempted to take the Texans +4.5 to win and cover. But I think right now we're talking about the Colts, who are still one of the best offenses in the NFL, one of the best teams in the NFL. They took a brutal loss to the Chiefs last week, where Spagnuolo really cranked up the pressure late in the game. They were up 20-9 at one point and fell apart late. I think this Texans defense will keep the pressure on high. They're the best defense in the NFL. I think Daniel Jones, with that fractured fibula, he's going to have to try to hand it off and work a little bit of the play action, but it won't matter that much with the Texans being, I believe, the number 1 defense against the run. So I'm a little bit worried about picking the Colts to win, but I will pick the Colts to win. The Texans, though, with that defense and C.J. Stroud returning, they will cover the +4.5-point spread. The next one, the Cardinals at the Buccaneers. Bucky Irving should be back for this week. Baker Mayfield, he was a full participant, but he is still banged up. I got to take the Buccaneers, though. I don't believe in the Cardinals. The Cardinals fell apart. Their defense hasn't looked anywhere near the same. Jacoby Brissett, well, yeah, he set the record for most completions in NFL history a couple weeks back. That offense just hasn't worked very well. Michael Wilson has been their wide receiver 1. It looks like Marvin Harrison may be back for this week. We'll have to wait and see, but I just think ultimately the Buccaneers are the better team. They're getting Bucky Irving back. They're going to have a more expansive offense, in my opinion. They're not playing against a very good defense. It's compared to the Rams defense that absolutely shut them down. Teddy Bridgewater may start, which, again, if Teddy Bridgewater ends up being the starter, I'm flipping my pick here. But Baker Mayfield should be back. I'll take the Buccaneers to win and cover the -4.5. Let's go next one. Saints at the Dolphins. The Dolphins, they're on a little bit of a winning streak here. It's interesting. Is Mike McDaniel saving his job? Maybe. Is Tua saving his career? Maybe. There is a chance that the Dolphins go on a little bit of a run here. They extend their winning streak here, and I think they will, especially against the Saints, which their offense isn't great. Alvin Kamara is out for this game. Olave is really the only threat here. They tried running it, a bunch of weird plays. Taysom Hill took a bunch of runs, but that went nowhere. The Dolphins have found something. Shockingly, you put the ball in the hands of your best players like Devon Achane, and all of a sudden your offense explodes. When you have Tua drop back 25, 30, 35 times in a game, you're going to incorporate way more interceptions because I still don't think Tua is a very good quarterback. But against the Saints, that isn't a very good team that just gave up 24 points to Kirk Cousins coming out of the darkness and, lighting up the scoreboard. I don't trust the Saints whatsoever. So give me the Dolphins in a big-time win here. They cover the -5.5 and beat the New Orleans Saints. The next one, J.J. McCarthy out for concussion protocol for this week. So it'll be Mac Brosmer starting at quarterback, undrafted rookie free agent. It's going to be a feast for the Seattle Seahawks. Thanksgiving came a little bit late for the Seahawks this year. I think that this is going to be an absolute, torture for the Minnesota Vikings offense, and I feel bad. I feel bad for T.J. Hawkinson. I feel bad for Jordan Addison. I feel bad especially for Justin Jefferson. The amount of quarterback turnover that has happened in Minnesota, I feel bad. I think the Seahawks, by the way, the Harvey hot hand, hint, wink, wink, this is going to be one of the games. I got the bet in early, so I'll still take the Seahawks to cover the -11.5. I did get the point spread in a little bit early in the week. That's why you always got to bet sooner. Always bet sooner. Watch the Tuesday shows because we talk about early point spreads there as well. For this one, I think the Seahawks defense is going to absolutely chow down on the Minnesota Vikings offense. I understand the defense for the Vikings is interesting, and maybe that could incorporate some Sam Darnold ghosts, which I won't love to see if that does end up being the case. But they could run the ball pretty effectively last week. I say that continues. I think that right now the Seahawks, they need to figure something out because they had an opportunity to beat the Rams and they didn't. They still have a shot in the NFC West, but they got to start winning games here. And I think, this week against the Vikings will be a big-time win. The next one, Bills at Steelers. I'm going ding, 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 upset alert for this one. Mike Tomlin as a home underdog. I'll bring the records out a little bit later for another Harvey Hot Hand spoiler here. Mike Tomlin is one of, if not the best, home underdog team or coaches straight up in NFL history. He does a great job, and especially covering the point spread, he does a great job here, especially the Bills coming off of some weird games, weird losses. I think especially with their 2 tackles out, it's going to be a big day for the Steelers defense. They don't have a great passing defense, but again, how do you put up a mirage for a bad passing defense with bad defensive backs? You generate a lot of pressure. TJ Watt, Nate Herbig, I think they're going to absolutely tear down on backup tackles for Josh Allen and this Buffalo Bills offense. I think they'll dominate here. Give me Rodgers in his comeback game and a big-time Steelers defensive performance with TJ Watt. Give me the Steelers in an upset victory over the Buffalo Bills. And next one, Chargers at Raiders. Very quick. Raiders suck, lost to the Cleveland Browns, allowed 24 points to Shedeur Sanders, and allowed a 72-yard catch and run. Dylan Sampson was 4 yards behind the line of scrimmage. They couldn't tackle anybody. It was an ugly look for the Raiders. Geno Smith's not a good quarterback. Chargers, Omarion Hampton won't be back for this game, but probably will be back next week. I think the Chargers are going to obliterate the Raiders. Raiders fired their OC. Pete Carroll looks in over his head. It's going to be a bad day for the Raiders here. Give me the Chargers. Big-time victory. They covered the 9.5 on the road in Las Vegas. Next one. Rams, 10.5-point favorites on the road in Carolina, and I'll take it. I'll take the Rams because we talked about it on Tuesday. Where are the holes? Defense, great. Running game, much better. Matt Stafford, 25 touchdowns, no picks the last 8 games. Coaching, top 3 in the league. Special teams, kicking has been an issue, but they replaced their kicker, so that's improved. There's no holes right now. Devontae Adams looks like prime Devontae Adams. Puka Nacua has been an option 2 in the red zone. Puka Nacua being an option 2 is interesting because he's very much a 1. But Devontae Adams has been so dominant in the red zone, he's been the option 2. So I think right now there's no holes for the Rams. This defense is playing lights out. Bryce Young is in for it 100% on Sunday. So give me the Rams, big-time victory. They cover the 10.5 in Carolina. Sunday Night Football, Broncos at the Commanders. Give me the Broncos in a big-time win here. Jaden Daniels won't play in this game. The Broncos have Pat Surtain back. The defense is going to dominate. I just think, and especially Bo Nix off a bye as well with Sean Payton to go basically 1-2 weeks of planning against this Commanders team with Marcus Mariota being the starting quarterback. Also, Dan Quinn taking over defensive play calling. It's going to be interesting to see what the Commanders do, but I don't think it matters much against a team that's going for the sack record, the all-time sack record in a single season, like the Denver Broncos are. So give me the Broncos. Only 5.5. I was a little bit surprised by this. It was 6.5 to open up the week, and now it's only 5.5. Give me the Broncos all day, every day to cover and win. They cover the 5.5, and they win on the road in Washington. And finally, Giants at Patriots, a classic. For Patriots fans, you hate this game every single whenever you play them because of the history of the Super Bowl. Eli Manning, Tom Brady, 2 Super Bowl losses to the New York Giants. So this one, Jackson Dart will be the starting quarterback. He's cleared concussion protocol, which makes me really second guess the plus 7.5. I think the Patriots defense is going to do a number against Jackson Dart. So maybe there's a shot that, the Patriots blow him out. If it was Jameis Winston, that's when I made this pick. I would have actually really loved the plus 7.5 for the Giants just based on how he's played recently. But Jackson Dart out there, I'll take the Patriots to win. But as of their recent performances, they haven't blown out many teams, really anybody. They've played a lot of bad teams very close. Against the worst defense in the NFL, it was a 6-point game. And Drake May hasn't played that well as of late. So I'll take the Giants to cover. New DC might change some things. New coaching may change some things. We haven't seen what the outside linebackers coach calling plays on defense can do. I think it'll be interesting to look at. Give me the Giants to cover the plus 7.5 point spread on the road, but the Patriots in Foxborough, they do get the win. And those are my Week 13 picks.
Very interesting. So your win-loss record now 116-62.
Yeah.
And your point spread
74, 82, and 2.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
being negative is not great.
It was not a bad week. Week 12,
no.
10-4.
8 and 6
in the point spread. Yeah.
I need to be much better though. Harvey hot end. We're still positive there. So the picks that we bet on is good, but the picks overall week to week, not so much.
Yeah.
All right, let's go to your picks now. Week 13.
Okay. Here we go. And I was 11-3. I point that out in week 12, and now with 121 wins, not so bad. 7-7 in the point spread. I'll take it, given the way I've been playing. I've been picking those. I'm hoping for a better week now. I'm 3 out of 4 in the first 4 games here, so that's good. Not so good on the straight up. I'm 1-3. So here we go. Starting with the 49ers at the Browns. I've got the 49ers and the points. I think Shedeur Sanders now faces Salah's defense. I think it will be a rude awakening for him after starting his winning ways and his first win as a starter against the Raiders. I think it'll be a whole different experience for him, and I don't see the Browns finding a way to win. The 49ers held the Panthers to 9 points and forced 5 turnovers in the past 2 games. So even without the Warner and Bosa, they're finding their defense is stepping up here, and I give Salah a lot of credit. The question mark here for me is Brock Purdy, who threw 3 interceptions against the Panthers, facing the number 2 defense and Myles Garrett, who has 18 sacks in the last 11 games. And I agree with you, he's going to blow away the record here, and he'll probably get a few sacks in this game. I don't know about Brock Purdy. I think didn't he lose to the Browns last time they played them? So
a lot of excuses in that game too.
Yeah, it could be a little closer than maybe we think, but I'm still thinking the 49ers find a way to win this. 49ers have allowed only 19 sacks so far. I think McCaffrey will be the difference in this game. He's going to relieve a lot of pressure off Purdy. The 49ers are 5-0 when McCaffrey has 30 touches. I think he'll get them on Sunday. Moving along now to the Falcons at the Jets. I'm picking the Falcons as well. The Jets have no offense. I mean, and they have no quarterback, really. This is the same deal. Maybe Tyrod Taylor's a little better than Justin Fields, but they still have no quarterback, as haven't had for so many years now. So it's still the same problem for the Jets, and it just becomes prohibitive for them to win. The Falcons have Bijan Robinson, right? And they have Kirk Cousins, who looked pretty good last week coming out of the darkness. The Falcons' defense is ranked number 16, and the Jets is ranked number 14, so it's not much difference there. But I think the Falcons are better as the Jets have just one turnover so far this year and no interceptions. Can you believe that? Just one turnover they've generated in their defense. How they rank 14 with that, with those stats, I don't get how they how they add it all up there. But I still think the 49ers. The Falcons have a better defense than the Jets. I like Cousins over Taylor and Robinson over Hall, and that's what it comes down to. I think it's an ugly game, which the Falcons find a way to win. It's hard as it is to believe that the Falcons still have an outside chance to win the NFC South. They're currently 2 games behind. I do think they still have a chance, and they're going to be playing like they have a chance on Sunday and find a way to win. They have 3 games left in the conference. If they beat the Jets and they win the conference games, so they would be 8-7 and would have to beat either the Rams or the Seahawks to go 9-8. So I think Rams or Seahawks against the Falcons is probably not going to happen. Those wins there, but maybe they find a way to pull out one of them, and that would get them to 9-8. They might still win the division. I think it's doubtful because the Bucs are 6-5 and have an easier schedule. They're playing the Cardinals, Saints, Falcons, Panthers, Dolphins, Panthers. So those 2 games against the Panthers, they ought to find a way to win. But one thing that you didn't point out, Baker Mayfield, you said you would pick the other team if Teddy Bridgewater started. Well, Baker Mayfield's going to be out there with a really banged up shoulder, and he's a very tough guy. But I just think he's not going to be scrambling in this game, and that's usually a way they find the win is when the play breaks down, he makes something out of nothing. So I don't think he's going to be in a position to be able to do that this week, and you'll see that when my pick comes up here. The Jags at the Titans, I like the Jags to win but not cover. The Titans have been finding a way to cover on these games. The Titans and Ward have been playing better, but not good enough to beat the Jags. Trevor Lawrence, 8 turnovers in the past 4 weeks. That's what you get for $55 million. Despite that, they're 3-1, so he gets bailed out somehow in these games. The Jags defense excels at takeaways and stopping the run, 2 areas where the Titans struggle. The Jags pass rush should be able to get to Ward, who is the most sacked quarterback in the league. So give me the Jags, but the Titans find a way to cover. Texans at the Colts. This is a tough one, man. Texans playing a lot better, and their defense number 1 now in total defense, and the Colts number 1 in scoring offense. Generally, the team with the number 1 offense wins in this situation. They're 5-0 since 2000 when the number 1 defense has faced the number 1 offense. The offense has won out and has not lost, so I'm hoping for the Colts. This fibula injury to Daniel Jones is troubling, but that just means they're going to hand off to Taylor more, and I think that's a good strategy. The Colts don't lose at home. They haven't lost a game at home for quite a long time now. Texans defense says more interceptions, 12, than they have TDs allowed, which is 10. So it's just another factor that shows how good they are. The Colts need to get back to running the ball with Taylor, and I think they will. The Colts need a statement victory, and this is the one they have to have. I'm picking them. But they don't cover. The Bucs at the Cardinals at the Bucs. The Bucs are on a 3-game losing streak. They lost by 3, by 12, by 27. They kind of falling apart here. They do get Irving back, which is a plus. But Mayfield's playing hurt. He won't be able to scramble to extend the plays, and that's been a big reason for the Bucs' victories. The Bucs' defense needs to return to form. It hasn't played well the last few weeks. The Cardinals have lost 8 of 9. They lost to the Jags despite being +4 in turnovers. I like the Cardinals and Brissett to torch the Bucs' number 27 pass defense and finally win a game. Saints at the Dolphins. I'm taking the Dolphins and the points. Since week 8, the Dolphins have been much better. They're 15 in EPA per play on offense and 12th in EPA on defense. Saints defense is as good as Miami's, but the offense has issues, and rookie Tyler Shook at quarterback. I like Miami at home. Vikings at Seahawks. Seahawks 11.5 point spread. I'm taking it. The Vikings have lost 5 of 6. McCarthy who has the worst passer rating and the lowest completion percentage, won't play due to injury and concussion. Mac Brosner, who nobody's ever heard of, is going to start this game. He's undrafted free agent. Darnold, who guided the Vikings to a 14-3 record last year, will have revenge on his mind when he plays against them, and he's playing better this year. So look out, Vikings. Seahawks also have one of the best defenses with a league-high 193 pressures. Darnold in the defense, too much for the Vikings. Bills at Steelers, I'm with you. I'm picking the Steelers to upset the Bills. Aaron Rodgers is likely going to return. He's been efficient, but averages less than 200 passing yards per game. Will likely try to run the ball more since the Bills allow the third most rushing yards per game, and the Steelers' running game has been good lately. The Steelers' defense ranks in the bottom 5 in yards allowed and the bottom half in points allowed. Now facing Josh Allen and James Cook, that could be a challenge. Both the Bills' tackles are going to be out of this game. That's a big factor for me in picking the Steelers. The Bills have scored only 7 touchdowns in 5 road games this season. They haven't played well on the road. 10 fewer points on the road, 23.2 versus 32.5 at home. It's going to be a big factor in this game. The Steelers' defense is going to be too much for the Bills' offensive line, and the Bills are 2-3 on the road. Give me the Steelers at home. Moving on to the Raiders at the Chargers. Chargers minus 10. I'm taking the Chargers the points. The Raiders have 2 wins and 2 1-point losses, but lately they struggle to play competitive football. They just weren't playing there in the game against the Browns. The guy who got the 66-yard pass, he ran right through him, and they just kind of watched him go by, and then they kind of chased him down the field. It just showed me that the players have kind of given up, and that's a bad sign for Pete Carroll. And the other 7 games, the Raiders were outscored by 127 points. It's 18.1 points per game. Kenny Pickett's going to start this game. The Chargers coming off a bye. The Chargers have the better defense, and they have by far the better quarterback, which will be too much for the Raiders. Rams minus 10 against the Panthers. I'll take that every day. The best team in the NFL in my book. They also have the best quarterback in my book. Only weakness is the field goal kicker, and they got a new field goal kicker, and they don't kick field goals very often now because they're always scoring touchdowns. They've only had 5 since their 6-game winning streak began. The Panthers and Bryce Young are too inconsistent. One game they rush for 200 yards, the next game 60. One game they pass for 448 yards, the next game 170. Stafford is passing for 3 or 4 touchdowns every week. He's going to be way too much for the Panthers. And the Broncos against the Commanders. I like the Broncos a lot. I like the points, minus 6. Commanders haven't won since the first week in October. They're starting Marcus Mariota. Broncos coming off a bye. They're going to be rested. They're going to be well prepared for this game. Denver has the advantage on both sides of the football. 5 of the last 6 Broncos wins have been by 3 points or less, so it's generally close. Raiders, they beat 10-7, the Giants 33-32, and the Jets 13-11. A little hard to believe. Coaching is the difference in this one with Peyton, I think, a much better coach than Quinn. And then finally,
your team,
the Giants at the Patriots. And I agree with you that the Giants are a nemesis for the Patriots. The Patriots always have a hard time with the Giants. But the Giants are starting Dart. If they were starting Winston, I would have said that the Giants would cover. But since Dart is starting, I'm going to say the Patriots maybe learn a lesson against the game from the game against Cincinnati, where they just squeaked it out against a very poor defense. I think they learned something from that, and they find a way to play better in this one and cover. The Giants are eliminated from the playoffs already, so they got nothing to play for. They have an interim head coach and a new defensive coordinator. The interim head coach, that play he made the last week there, he gave the game away to the Lions. And Dan Campbell should be happy about that one. They've blown fourth quarter leads in each of their last 3 games. The Pats lost Campbell and Wilson and will be tested by a very competent Giants front 7 playing under a new defensive coordinator. I'd give the Giants a chance to cover if Winston was starting, but it's going to be Dart, as I mentioned. Vrabel is a much better coach given Kafka's decision last week to go for it on 4th down from the 6 after a 14-play, 86-yard drive up by 3 points with less than 2 minutes left and failing, which I think was the signature moment, which will cost him a chance to get a full-time head coaching job. And those are my picks.
I'm glad we disagree on a couple point spreads. I could only shrink the lead by 1 this week. If we tie with everything, there's only one shot I got at trying to catch up with you, and that's the Cardinals over the Buccaneers. I got the Bucs. Otherwise,
we're tied on the win-loss record right now.
No, you're beating me by 7. But in order for me to shrink that gap,
how come this says it has 120, 150? You put yours.
So it's 5.
You put yours up.
So it's 5 because I have 116. You got 121.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I was looking at mine. Okay.
So yeah, the only shot I got is shrinking the gap between you and I is in that Buccaneers Cardinals game. Otherwise, I mean, we tied on Thanksgiving
wrong
with
on
the
that
Chiefs.
one. I'm probably wrong on that.
No changes. No,
but I don't want to change it. I don't want to change it, but I can't help Baker Mayfield out. If he can limp onto the field, he'll find a way to do something that will help the team.
Well,
plus, with Bucky Irving back, I think is important for them. But the way Brissett's playing, airing it out, I like it.
Yeah, no, it's interesting to see just how effective that offense has been in parts and in spurts, but the defensive injuries are down. Walter
Which other
Nolan.
game did we disagree on?
No, we're good. The rest of the
all the others were just 1.
Again, I might. I don't feel great about the Texans Colts game. We're staying with the Colts win, but I don't trust the Colts right now against a really, really good pass rush and a really good defense. That offensive line.
How do you play with a broken leg? I don't know how you
fractured
do that.
Fibula.
Well,
fractured fibula.
It's got to hurt.
I would think so. Yeah. But it is time. My favorite topic, as I always said, throughout the show's history, my favorite topic is the Harvey Hot Hand. For those who don't know what the Harvey Hot Hand is, it is where I pick 5, maybe 6, sometimes 7, however many teams I feel like. Normally it's 5, though. Teams that I think you should bet on to cover the point spread every single NFL week. We have a winning year so far. We've never had a losing season. We're going to continue, our winning ways. Hopefully, we got to bounce back a little bit. So let's begin with the first pick of Week 13's Harvey Hot Hand.
Vikings at Seahawks.
Give me the Seahawks here. This is a -9.5. Right now, the point spread is -11, but you got to get in those early picks. You got to watch the Tuesday shows for hints and for teases for point spread. So for me, I got it at the 9.5 number, and that's the number I'm sticking with. Max Brosma right now will be the starting quarterback for the Minnesota Vikings because of J.J. McCarthy's concussion. He's an undrafted rookie free agent going up against one of the best defenses in the NFL. This is going to be an absolute bloodbath. The Seahawks right now are 8-3 against the spread. Their defense is 4th in sacks and 3rd in pressure rate. He's going to be under duress all damn day. The Seahawks defense is also 5th in EPA per play allowed. Max Brosma won't be able to rely on an efficient running game in order to sort of cool down the heat because the Seahawks are also 4th in rushing yards per game allowed. This defense is going to absolutely torment an undrafted rookie free agent. I don't care that Kevin O'Connell's his head coach. You know why? J.J. McCarthy also has Kevin O'Connell as his head coach, and he is statistically the least effective quarterback in the NFL this season. So give me a defensive bloodbath. Thanksgiving came late for the Seahawks. Give me them to win 30-10. They cover the 9.5 point spread. The next one.
Broncos at Commanders.
Give me the Broncos here. -5.5 for one of the best defenses in the NFL, going up against a backup quarterback, a defense that doesn't compete very well, an offensive line that's number 1 in the league. The defense is getting Pat Surtain back. The defense is going for the sack record as well. I mean, everything is lining up for the Broncos to secure their lead in the AFC West and still compete with the Patriots for the number 1 seed in the AFC. The Commanders right now, their season's over. It's looking bleak. Jaden Daniels is still trying to fight his way out there, and I respect the effort, but my question is why? I understand it's a competitor thing. Nobody wants to say, you know what, our season's over, I'm mailing it in. But ultimately, your injury history, I'd play it very, very cautious. You don't get a playoff spot. If anything, if Jaden Daniels comes in there and you start winning games, it actually hurts your draft capital. So for me, Marcus Mariota will be out there, but I just think that this season it's over for the Commanders. It was over a couple weeks ago. You said it about a month and a half ago that you thought the Commanders were frauds, and you nailed that on the head. But Bo Nix with Sean Payton coming off a bye against the Commanders with Dan Quinn now being the defensive play caller and the offense not looking that great, this is a prime placement for the Broncos to be in to get a very dominant win. I'll take the Broncos to win 27-17. They cover the 5.5-point spread. Next one.
Texans at Colts.
This is a risky one, but I'm taking the Texans to cover the plus 4.5-point spread. Daniel Jones right now, he's going to play with a fractured fibula. That's not going to be great, especially when against some of these big-time pass-rushing defenses, he looks a little shaky. He likes to step up in the pocket, and with Will Anderson and Daniil Hunter coming around the edges and that interior of that defense still being very ferocious, I'm fearing for Daniel Jones not to get so banged up in this game. I think that what we saw last week, Colts-Chiefs, is what we saw as late in the game. The Colts were up 20-9 at one point. Then all of a sudden, Spagnuolo cranks the heat up on the defense, and Shane Steichen coached scared. He coached really, really scared and bent to the will of the Chiefs. In this case, C.J. Stroud's coming back. The Texans' offense better not throw this game away. I'm saying they'll still lose, but if they all of a sudden start throwing interceptions and C.J. Stroud looks like he did to start the season, the Colts are going to blow him out. I don't care how great the defense is, which it's the number one defense in the NFL. It's also number one in EPA per play allowed. But this should be a defensive-led game by the Texans. C.J. Stroud needs to play effective football, and I think maybe the score will be significantly less, but going up, playing one of the best offenses with the Indianapolis Colts, it'll be interesting to see just how many points they're able to put up. But Daniel Jones under pressure, that offensive line against really good pass rushers, it seems to give up a lot of pressures. Daniel Jones has a fumble issue. He's getting hit a lot from his blind side. That's where he fumbles a lot. So I think that this game will be very, very close. The Texans do cover the 4.5, but I think the Colts, they're technically the better team. Think about this. Mahomes didn't even target the left side of the field, which is where Sauce Gardner was on. Now, again, I'm still mad about that game because Lou Anarumo had Sauce Gardner one-on-one against Tyquan Thornton, not Xavier Worthy or Rashee Rice, who cooked them all game. So I don't love that, but this should be an interesting game in C.J. Stroud's return game. I'll take the Texans to cover the plus 4.5. Colts do get the win, 24-20. The next one.
Bills at Steelers.
The risky one. I'm taking the Steelers for the Harvey hot hand in this one. The Bills right now, they're down both their starting tackles. That's going to be a big one. Spencer Brown and Deion Dawkins. Deion Dawkins, one of the best offensive tackles in the NFL. The Pittsburgh defense, it's going to make Allen really, really uncomfortable, which in my opinion will get Allen to press a lot, to try to be Superman. And when he's Superman throughout an entire game, normally that's not great because we've seen the past few weeks he's had to be Superman. And that incorporates turnovers, that incorporates interceptions, or sometimes, like we saw last week, incorporates some fumbles. Don't love the week before. Fumbles. That's going to be an issue. The Bills have no downfield threat whatsoever. They just lost Curtis Samuel, and they released Elijah Moore. So they really have no major receiving threat. Keon Coleman, is he still suspended? We'll see. It's a team decision. But what's big here is the Pittsburgh Steelers have the fastest time to pressure in the NFL. So if you have your cornerbacks, Porter, you have them press, all of a sudden that makes Josh Allen have to speed up a little bit, have to maybe make him scramble. We remember what he looked like. He was banged up. He was injured. So I'm curious to see what Josh Allen does against this defense, which is absolutely dominant and pressuring the quarterback. And on top of it, Mike Tomlin's record against the spreads as coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers, 24-10-1. Straight up, 21-14. So he has a winning record as a home underdog, which I think is the best in NFL history. So he's a tremendous home underdog. I'll take the Steelers in the upset. They obviously cover the +3. They beat and upset the Buffalo Bills, who are reeling right now. Jaylen Warren, big-time game. Kenneth Gainwell, big-time game. Give me the Steelers 26-23. And finally,
Chargers at Raiders.
Give me this one. The Raiders, there is no light at the end of the tunnel for the season for the Raiders. There is no redeeming quality that the Raiders have besides on paper. You look, oh, Max Crosby. Oh, Ashton Genty. Oh, Brock Bowers. Yeah, name value only. This season, Max Crosby's done his job. Ashton Genty's been a massive disappointment. So I think, Brock Bowers, he's been banged up, but he's had a couple really, really good games. I think ultimately, though, the Raiders are screwed. The Los Angeles Chargers right now, they got to try to figure out a way to hold on to their lead in the AFC West, and not lead in the AFC West, but number 2 spot in the AFC West, and also their playoff hopes, because they're tied at 7-4, which that there's a lot of volatile headroom there, because they could fall out, a team could come in. it's going to be interesting to see what this Chargers team can do. But against the Raiders that just lost to Shedeur Sanders last week, that fired Chip Kelly, who was the most expensive offensive coordinator in the NFL this season, the Chargers have one of the best pressure rates in the NFL, sack rates in the NFL, and they have the 5th highest in the league. Geno, what we saw, 10 sacks last week. Does he want to get hit again this week against the Chargers defense? My guess is probably not. So I think it's going to be an interesting game to see what Geno does. Geno's not a good quarterback. Is he a bridge? Maybe. I don't even think he's a bridge quarterback. He's a backup quarterback at the very best. So I think right now they got to create a bigger lead between them and the Chiefs in order to block the Chiefs out from the playoffs. This is a big-time spot for them to be in Las Vegas. They get a big-time victory. They cover the 9.5, and they win 28-14. And those are my Week 13 Harvey Hot Hand bets. And as always, I'd like to hear your opinion of what you think my picks are, maybe which ones I missed or whatnot.
I like your picks except for the Texans-Colts game. I would have substituted the Rams-Panthers.
That's a big point spread, though.
10 points against the Panthers and the Rams with Stafford throwing 4 touchdown passes in every game? Huh? I think that the Rams will cover that game pretty easily.
Interesting. All right.
That was the only one I'd swap.
All right. I'll make sure to make note of that. So there you go. Those are my picks for the Harvey Hot Hand. All right, we thank you for the constant support. Hope everyone had a good Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody out there. Get the deals in Black Friday, Cyber Monday. Good week of Sunday football. That Monday game should be fun to talk about on Tuesday. Patriots, Giants. We'll see what Jackson Dart does in his return game from concussion. So, make sure you stay tuned for that. So, for this episode of the Harvey Hour, my name's Nathan Harvey. That's my dad, Stephen Harvey. We have been your co-hosts of the Harvey Hour. Catch us Tuesday to recap all of Week 13 and Monday Night Football. We'll be right here, 6:30 p.m. Eastern. Right here on YouTube.
Happy Thanksgiving. Good night, Grandpa.
Using Wi-Fi without NordVPN could mean sharing your private stuff with more people than you think. Stay safe on public Wi-Fi. Get NordVPN's special offer and encrypt your internet connection. NordVPN. Online security starts with a click.